차상대 추투 당보 값을 아니든지 랑차를 자네 아니들 취셔 거당 또 수면다다 또 수고도 마고 와시 그거 말이지.
So since we made the mandala offering and request for the teachings and so on at the first session of this teaching, we won't repeat it this time.
Samsanje tam je je wo re dang jian go re jiang ci jia da ga zhen song ba mei bei ban gong zhen jie la ma dan bei xie jie de re zhi ma mei ba la go wei ra de ge bei san za xian jia sun jiu jie shen jie la ba ren zhe de so ning dou jin bei ba ye li ma zhe lo zhi jin bei jue gen de ni se zhi ba jin bei qim zhi jiang de Loza jimbe shamla sorwa ende nimde jimbe kada zene je kapje jimbe lama nipan ze zundu jimbe drepe jansenze reba jimbe shamla sorwa ende deba jimbe rincho yongso se saja jimbe toba wanda je chale jimbo kada nyambrada nyingong jimbe shamla sorwa ende shivzan kalan chirab jengkoro jen zebe dondur zalinab Jarve temba gone sanze ba Kagyu Rinpoche lang san sai Jambra dorjing ala wangjur she lo dribam san yi she durze dang dinzi jam saram zonze beji Pam chang shana be mong san sa Omin chu jin je porang le Desum san je gunye ngon ye Arang sim che ka osum donze ba Zawa lama nang lang san sa Yongde san je gong da nyam na yang Gadi san je gong e la ben Zawa lam me sham la so an de Da son do wa long na chu sen chong 마전 로아 남건 타다년 베심진 탐지 시제 동안 타달레 다데 남도 띵제 대와 라나메바 양다바 조바 산지제 공파른 보지더니 제네장 토바라사 다티 치데 담베치 삼몬드니 최진데 시네 냠설랑바르 디오 냠바고네 신찰
O benevolent root guru, who is in essence all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, with great devotion I prostrate to you and go for refuge to you with my body, speech, and mind. Please grant your blessings to be cared for by you inseparably in this lifetime and all of my future lives. Clean ground of pure ethical discipline, beautified by mountains of unfathomable samadhi, illuminating all things with wisdom light of the sun and moon, Supreme Buddha who accomplishes the welfare of all, please bestow virtue and goodness. Your mandala expanding throughout space and knowledge of all things, beautiful thousandfold light striking the lands of trainees, fully illuminating all of Buddha's teachings in their entirety. With devotion I prostrate to the great jewel of the Kagyu. O glorious and precious root guru, please take seat of lotus in my heart, caring for me in your great kindness. Please grant attainments of body, speech, and mind, equal to all Buddhas in qualities of realization, yet surpassing all Buddhas in kindness to me. I pray at the feet of my root guru, O protector. Please turn the minds of myself and all beings towards the Dharma. All you who have become disciples of the Sugatas, those gone to bliss, throughout the billions of worlds of the 10 directions, all of you who wish to hear the Dharma raining down here and now, may you come here. Namo, in languages of Devas, Nagas, and Yakshas, languages of Kumbhandas and human beings, in the sounds of whatever beings exist, in every language, I shall teach the Dharma. Please listen well with the motivation of bodhicitta, thinking, all mother sentient beings equal to the extent of space must by all means attain unexcelled eternal bliss of perfect, complete Buddhahood. To accomplish this, I shall listen carefully without distraction to the Mahayana teachings being given here and put them into practice.
라소 다들 강시 심브라사와 추네 아니 다들 같이 값을 봐봐게니 지 Gampopa 제 야주게 아니 람초리 친청와데 담만 투데 마한테 들으시는 로야 한시
So the subject of the teaching which you are listening to is that composition by Gampopa Sonam called Precious Garland of the Supreme Path. And so we'll be continuing now with our second session of teachings on this.
다들 문제 취들라 아니 개침비나니 개침보대 아니 또 중요시대 개침보리대 들레장 개치시대 가래를 시도자네 아니 문로고 취들인도와 무지가 취래장 아니 문로고 취대 개침보리 중세 가이세나 무지가 취대 약보做的没做的문로고 공통을 알아요.
So remember that the preliminary practices are even more important than the main subject, main practice, because those preliminary practices are what determine the efficacy and the quality of that practice, the main practice that we engage in.
근데 전에 다 참에 아니 너희 값을 공동주당지당 가가 값을 공동주당 니도 와시 담보 너희 값을 공동주당의 삼로당라야 보여리시.
So there's ways of adjusting our motivation in accordance with teachings of sutra and those of the teachings of tantra. And so first of all, if we set our motivation in accordance with the teachings of sutra, that would be good.
다들 인도 전에 되라 너희 값을 공동주당대 남자 주당 같이 motivation 해야 돼. 특별 준비 공동주당 대대 직발이 시대리지.
So the setting of our motivation in accordance with the teachings of sutra are those that we set in connection with teachings of the Mahayana. That's the same.
근데 전에 강가랑그 문에 임바이나양 아니 공동주야대 뺏게 침보 라면 문에 있네요. 공동주야대 하자게 침보 하자 자침보 라면 문에 있네요. 아니 공동주야대 뺏게 침보 라람니기 토니 개침보리 야시.
So it's extremely important for both the teacher as well as the those who are listening to be very attentive in setting your motivation.
다들 인도 전에 공동대라 아니 남큰 타다냐베 로아를 듣고 심지 참아대 아니 라운다도 대완도 받아 라운다도 하면 돼 같이 봐리 이 심지 때나 대바 대완 대장 대베 조카인 받아 드마시 문제 받는 도그 매장 동화 그 줄라 강한 슈슈 님치 뒤쪽도 중대 비 심지 때나 힘이지 삼바지 근데 삼로 당 거리지.
So thinking about all the different realms of existence in cyclic existence or samsara, the 6 types of life forms, think how all of them, every one of them has exactly the same wish for happiness as myself, same wish to be free from suffering as myself. However, even though they have that wish for happiness, they don't know how to create the causes. They don't know the causes to create for happiness. And although they don't want suffering, they automatically continue creating the causes for suffering. So thinking of this situation of sentient beings.
어디리디다니 디심지인데 남 아니 대완도나 쩌마로 동화다 탄나 쩌마로 대발라양 내가 그 대화탄 타르토 그 대화 이유도 자네 루처 그 대화 짬 많이 봐 생그 토니 대화 생그 대화 될라양 타르토 뛴딜라는 메바 양도 버좀 산지죠 공방 어떤데지 토페 치드 방봉에 취드냐면시 취드냐면시는 아니죠 뭐 산지죠 공방 톰도 로 어떤데 지금 혼자 손에 애니 좋아 준지 짬네 밤에 취는 juk 엘리랑 산지 저 공방 톱 차도 남직 아니 심지 그 돈 죽이 삼바 어떤데 지상로 땅나 야보 요리시.
So thinking about those sentient beings, think how wonderful it would be if they could experience happiness, and if only they could be free of suffering. And in order to do that, I must practice the holy Dharma. First of all, practice the holy Dharma so that I can attain the state of an enlightened being. And once I've attained that state, then I'll be able to ultimately help all these sentient beings. And when we think about the happiness that we wish to provide for them, it's not just physical happiness, but it's mental happiness and the ultimate mental happiness of the eternal bliss of the fully enlightened state. So this is our intention behind practicing the teachings.
근데 상로 땅 투아이나 홉디카는 뭐 뭐지 상로 땅 당보가 산지 저 공방 톱 되니 심지가 돈도야 되라 근데 타는 뭐 된다지 가와 국투그리 가와 용식그리 가시네 추념는세네 가 산지 토그리 왜 가시나 산지 토왕 땅에 심지가 돈던데 진 죽그리 왜 삼바다지 미 삼로라 레발라 때 삼로 콜시그리.
So it's possible that some people, in thinking along these lines, may think, oh my gosh, that'll take such a long time for me to attain enlightenment. And how could I wait? How could beings wait that long? How could I wait that long? And, is it really possible? Could I really attain enlightenment? And then once I do that, will I really, work to benefit all sentient beings? And these kinds of doubts may occur to someone in thinking about this. But that's a mistaken way of thinking.
나랑 다타 대화 미주지 semla 대화 미주지 다타 나랑 솔라 semla 빼 레도 침보 타는 니 마코와 멜라 강아 망보지 생고 돌아 하자 강아 망보지 타파가 당자와 나지 짜가 타파 찍자와 나지 semla 대화 짠이 매 대화지 유 대화대 유 가래 연구를 지듯하네 nga 세야지 로 하자 쇼치 뭐지 하자 쇼치 뭐지 왜 준차 다란 게 연구요리지 근데 이제 자네 준차 되라 다들 상로든 코와이나 남직처럼 산지적 공방 톱내 심지 그 돈을 맡았나요 다다 니들이 주랑을 세내듯이 lep차 요리지 가인시나 랑기반 진바데 충도 땅 인기반 진바데 치러 땅와 로 같이 인기반 진로 같이 치러 소나양 디축 생각되지 치아요와 랑기반 진바가 로 같이 쇼치러 소나야 디축에 생라 아니 동ар 치러요와 어떤데 차대요리지.
And the reason for that is that we don't need to wait so long for these results to be noticed. Because what is it that really causes being to be caught in suffering, constricted in suffering, as if they're tied up in a rope of suffering and unable to move? It's this self-concern. It's all this self-importance, feeling of self-importance, selfishness, ego-centered mind. That's what does it. And so as we engage in this kind of motivation, this altruistic motivation, it immediately starts to shift because we let go of that self-cherishing, that selfish mind of self-importance, and we cultivate more and more cherishing of others' welfare. And as we do that, instantly the level of suffering that we experience will be lessened, and the happiness that we experience will be increased as soon as we start doing this.
여보도 란치반 진바다 로 같이 치러 속나양 내가 동하라 치러 왔당 yinji banji ba lot la samo katsi chir tangwa ina yang di tsu ke sen de chi chir yong de wa ko nga sia lot de thaba na yi de wa ja ga thaba na yi nga sia de katsi shuk chi mo na ja ga thaba je ke man de shi dang ja wa na ji.
So that thought of I, me is like an iron chain that keeps us constricted. And the more we get rid of that, the less suffering we will have. And the more cherishing and love of others that we have, the more happiness we'll experience.
Jimsi telati ne sanchok sense ya de. Ba ma se cha chimbo. Chu kan de jin yam lin sin yang di gang na sanchok sen na kung hung ko tho ni. Meng la kung hung ta ki yuri de kung hung te ja cher tang du sanchok se la tho lo ko do wa. Den de de cha ne ta te pe cha chimbo pe ke chimbo cha de yuri de.
Thus, bodhicitta is so important for every kind of practice that we do.
Tang nga chu kung hung se che meng la kung hung ta ka de de ngo ma te shuk chir so wa na sanchok se na lem ro ko yuri.
So it's so important to set that motivation of bodhicitta, before any practice that we do. And in fact, it's that very motivation that we're cultivating, which will eventually become that bodhicitta in our mind. So we're practicing. Our motivation is actually that realization as it comes into its culmination. It is that exactly that realization that we seek to attain.
Lasso. Ani de ne da de nga chu ani yami ta pun je be ngi ge chu lam cho ren chin chen wa ani chu chin yi ba da chu chin do wa chu chin de zane chu chin dang bo de xu zhe ne chu chin yi ba de ya.
So now in the teachings of the Precious Garland of the Supreme Path, we have all these sets of 10 factors. And so we've covered the first set of 10. Now we come to the second set of 10.
De le magic text dang do wa kan ma chu dun se ya de ka le la ya hello and to shi de le. We will not be ka la ya.
Oh, the chat.
Text ji dang do de le magic. Kan ma chu dun ke text dang do wa.
Yes, there's a note in the chat that we will
What
not
is
be
it?
showing the text on the screen, but our kind Sangha member Tony set up a Google Drive with the text in Tibetan and English. So you can just click on this link that's there in the chat for both the English text and the Tibetan text.
Oh yeah. Oh lasso. Lasso. Ani da de ge chu chin dang bo de. Chu chin dang bo, chu chin yi ba de la, chu chin yi ba de. Rang po chu sin be chu ji yi za ma cho wa shi ge. De ba de zun ru ji la ma dang ba gai xin zhi ba shi ge. Dang a ge ju shi be la ma dang a dang ga ma na wa shi ge. Shi ra da de ba nin din ji la ma tu gong wen ba shi ge. Den ba de xi jin ba yu de din be go som ni jun ji ma yu ba shi ge. Go cha da ni dop ji yi dan din ji chu tu ba shi ge. Chami ximi ji ju be na ta me la ma xio wa shi ge. Yomi jisum be ta de choni so ba la zun ba shi ge. Shang ba da nin ji ngu sam ju de sim ji de de la lo shok ba shi ge. Shirab da go do ji chu tam ji ngu dan chi me ma xio wa shi ge. De ne gu pe chu ju ye no si.
There are the 10 necessary things. It is necessary to be independent so that one is not misled by advice. It is necessary to practice with faith and diligence in accordance with the instructions of the Holy Guru. It is necessary to select instructions of one's Guru unmistakably through understanding the difference between instructions that are appropriate and inappropriate. It is necessary to enact the intentions of the Holy Guru with knowledge, faith, and diligence. It is necessary that through one's possession of mindfulness, attentiveness, and carefulness, one's 3 gates be unobscured by defects. It is necessary that one be stable and independent in one's practice through possessing courage and the armor of diligence. It is necessary that by being without attachment and craving, one avoid giving one's nose rope to others. It is necessary to be diligent in the continual gathering of the true accumulations by complementing one's practice with preparation, execution, and conclusion. It is necessary that one turn one's mind to benefiting beings, both directly and indirectly, with loving kindness and compassion. It is necessary that through knowledge, understanding, and realization, one not mistake all things to be substantial and inherently endowed with characteristics. Those are the 10 necessary things.
Lasso. Tadila 책 코란 그 오동로 때와 이나 아니래 하장 레라오 코란 드르치리드 자시텔란드 시 믹서게 드르 자고사 말이지.
So the words are quite clear and not very difficult to understand. So I don't think we need to, explain every word here.
임바이나 양 나그 티스 님베 잔이 티나나. 개치야 데만드 시 잔이 티 시기인시.
But I'll be commenting on some points that I feel are especially important to say more about them, to expand.
다 담보데 그 랑그 포츠 신베 투지지 자 맞춰 와시 그시. 랑그 포츠 신세야데 난 디나니 포츠 신세야데 포츠 신세야데 같이 샤와 강다 강시에나양 초시유 바직당 포츠 신세야데 초시유 바직당 림바지 코랑 추세네야 란직티세네야 림바지 그 토니 시골이 시야지 따데라 고고리시
The Anggargatse Liore, the Dampo Niba Sumba, the
담보
Dampo Rangi.
랑그 포츠 신베 투지지 자 맞춰 와시 그시.
So the first thing that is necessary says it is necessary to be independent so that one is not misled by advice. And Rinpoche
포츠 랑그 포츠 신세야데 휴단 직디 샤와 강세나양 에니 추스바지 코랑 추스바지 딱다 추스바지 고레시.
So in whatever we do in terms of spiritual practice or worldly activities, we should do it to a good measure, to the right degree.
다다 당나지게 나나 란축 마쇼 인세 마족세야 지게 책이 요리 란축 마쇼르세야 되게 포츠 심바데라 고고 란축 마쇼르세 되잖아요. 주랑 남자 진도 가르치게 오나요. 주랑 딱다시 거지 주랑 추가 란도 또는 주랑 추가 라야요 말이지 주랑 포츠 심네 그냥 안다이나 라마리 다와리 다와데살라 다와데 nomba tamsa yabo song. Rawa, melsoina, sosu la tsukki yuri, ani sosu tsukki semgore isita. Rantsuk ma shoro song yuri, tila rantsuk ti shorni ka marisi. Yinsen matoksi, ti yugatini yinsen matoksi, yin ki semkhaan ti tokni ka marisi. Kejan ramanda shi, yulam ramanda shi ne, yin ki semla poktok tani ke, ani tinda shini ka marisi. 대단냠도 랑그 축가대 효니가 말이지. 다들 뭐 앙당보게 휴대 직대 가르치네요. 뭐 앙당보게 사와다 줄람데 니그나는 되는데 자네 니그나는 domjak도와 랑축마 효. 니 인생 마도.
Now there's one couplet was saying to the effect that don't lose your own independence or your own self-sufficiency. And don't disturb the minds of others. So being self-sufficient means to take care of yourself, in terms of, me, for instance, being a Buddhist bhikshu, and then I have vows and commitments to observe and to take care of that myself. And then on the other hand, to not be careless in our relations with others, just acting in whatever way or just saying whatever comes to mind in ways that would disturb the minds of others. So the idea is to take care of yourself and don't hurt others, don't disturb others.
Any Tahana Tuji Yita Manchowashi go so do a Tambotel Zega, Puhila Zega, Tambochuranka Puhila Zeta, Tuji Yita Manchowashi goes. I take Kojipe Chimbotilla, Tuji Yita Manchowashi. Tambe Chuk Son is not Tawaina, Rangli Jinchi Panzimba, Tsin the late Smachi Panzimba, Tuji Yita. Tambe Chuk Oina, Chupa Namdachina, Ngalechang. Yi ge chiwa, sendele chang, chisma ge chiwa. Ambe chuka tone na tuji jisang ma de teri.
And when we talk about, being misled by advice, we don't get misled from our main practices. And in the case of a Buddhist practitioner, there is the attitudes of considering others' welfare more important than oneself, one's own, and to consider the welfare of future lives is more important than this life. And if there's something that takes us away from these kinds of principles or leads us away, then we shouldn't take that kind of guidance.
Eni niba ke teheta tsunruji lama tamba kashi drupashi kusi. Anda niba ke nana tehepa tang tsunru nikesi. Apena jiptun Milarepa le pejawa ina jiptun Milarepa haja teba chimbo. Sobra mapa losala haja teba chimbo. 하자 대바 침보 대당 냠도 코랑라 출라 하자 쭌르 침보 아 로마 지금 눈이 장부 용된 치슈대 대바당 쭌르니들이다 어떤디 용도 자니티 담보 대소다.
The second line says it is necessary to practice with faith and diligence in accordance with the instructions of the Holy Guru. So we can think of the example of Venerable Milarepa, how he related to his teacher, the translator, Marpa. He had huge faith and conviction in the teachings and in his Guru Marpa. And he also was very diligent. He persevered with tremendous energy.
다 로마 지금 눈에 대바당 쭌르니데 다 믿음으로 와케 용된 치슈대 다 데리지.
So two of the most desirable qualities and admirable qualities and useful qualities for a practitioner are these very two, that faith and conviction, and then the enthusiasm and perseverance.
다들 쭌르지. 아니 라마 담바 까진드 바시그 송레다. 라마 담바 까진드 바시그 세야 되게 라마 까세야 되라. 까망보요리. 라마 초도 줘봐되게 까되라. 로마데 로추선로와 출람든로와 란트바센 트바이시슨 차야데 라마 까고마 라마 까당 라마 공방오마데 데리 라마 까게 내 출레 추시에게 나라 빼샤 커쇼 어라와 라마 탑차에네 대송 시그레데 데 까고마데 말이 집진 밀라레바 가레 송요리시데 짜네 아니 로바 마발로서 추랑 그 공부 같은 게 르니 공부 같은 게 르니 시기시 좀치 간시나 추랑 그 까이 공부 오마데 나 족부 산지 저 공황 토와데 나 동학 그 잠소들 저토와데 추랑 그 공부다 추랑 그 까 오마데 때리시 어때 차대 요리.
And as it says, that these should be practiced in accordance with the instructions of the Holy Guru. So what do we mean by instructions of the Holy Guru? Well, the real instructions of the Holy Guru are those very four thoughts that that made my mind turns, that the student's mind may turn toward the Dharma, that Dharma may become the path, may that path be free of delusion, hindrances, and that hindrances would rise as innate wisdom. So this is the real intentions behind the instructions of a true guru, not other things like bring me money or something like that, seeking offerings from the students. I mean, there may be some teachers that talk like that, but that's not the true intentions of a holy guru, and like, or as for instance, as what Milarepa said about the intentions of his holy guru Marpa. So Marpa's intentions for me are for me to attain liberation and enlightenment. So these are what the instructions of a true holy guru are about.
Okay, sometimes it's my student, sometimes I give the teaching and here, I think many times, sometimes my students say, oh, you know, your Dharma and your teaching is so benefit. It's really lot to me. How I can help you? I want to do something for you. What I can do for you? I say, yes, I want you practice more Dharma. Tangai tindi samsana tindi labku yuta, tata tirwala saba. Pe namaka tindi labku tani, churang ala pe kadin chimboy, ngay churang la pa tiling karin jar goris. Tindi labku doa. Ngala tiling jar goya se kaya muda nga taha tachang rawa. Nga khala saya ta ngay jabla chuya tila ngala ka ngan thega mari nga mtsila. Emi ngala jimba me yor ka ke me. Ngaram mtse tila mele pinchi thona sam. Mele pin thoya te ambe chuka thoni. Khorang ma pinchi thona sambachi deri. Deri ndi chane ngay takpa rekila churang chu nyamnin jisi. I always say the practice.
So sometimes people, say, "Oh, you've been so kind to me, and I would really like to return your kindness." But what do I need? I'm a simple monk. I don't need much. I have food, clothing. I don't have problems with these things. And so what do I really want? What do I really need? My intention in life is to benefit beings, to help beings. And so what I always say when someone often say when someone says something like that is that what you can do for me is to practice Dharma, do more practice of Dharma. That is what really returns my energy, my kindness.
Yeah. That degitechi. And this jibatela shirap the tepe shirap tang tepa amarda sumbateri do sumbateke dangwa ke chunyi ship lamet dangwa ke chunyi ship lamet dangka mano wa shikuyusi.
The third line, it says it's necessary to select instructions from one's guru unmistakably through understanding the difference between instructions that are appropriate and inappropriate.
Tan di tsik ngodong la tena samba la churan chu kanda juyu mishi inchi la nga ka tsik ngodong la hop de kala ma tena dangwa la chuya yuwa ta dangwa la yung tiya yu dewa anda chik tende chik so ni ko churte la kono sarwa ten mari dangwa la yung ti la ma to lam dangwa la zawa ni ni chuyu mari lam zambo chik dangwa nawa ina jacha jatamba yung ti chang chang ri tan di nani dangwa ke chu yu shipe siti tani tela kare kong kore sina churang ka lamba dangwa mathoba ina churang la chu yu wa churang la pe masi ta chikare se ko lamba dangwa churang ka maluwa ina churang la mena ani churang pe masi chu ta noncho chimbo chi lam na song charwa lamba dangwa churang la top de yu na ani te pe yung tin chimbo chi yin ba ndi chi la ko gore ma to Lama dangwa tila chua yu pa, lama dangwa tila yung tia yu pa, lama tsita dimba, pe nandina ni pe yawa ina, sunghi de suri si ditane, je Gampopa ri. Je Gampopa tawa ki dangwa tila chung tsawa yu mari. O tandi chisu. Kokondo tila.
Okay, well, as for the way this is translated here, Rinpoche said, I don't know for sure. If it gives any intimation that there would be something that could be inappropriate about the Guru's instructions, that's not the intention here. because, here we're talking about the teachings of a holy guru, and their teachings are nothing but beneficial and high quality. For instance, Gampopa Sonam Rinpoche, he would not be giving instructions that were bad or somehow inappropriate. So what is really meant by here to the difference between appropriate and inappropriate, it means that, if we listen to the teachings and practice them, they're very appropriate for us. And if we don't listen to them, then we will have many problems. So this is the main difference here between what is of quality, what is appropriate or inappropriate. It's appropriate for us to follow those instructions of the Holy Guru, and what is inappropriate is actually, to me, Rinpoche says this refers to us not hearing or not really practicing those instructions of the Holy Guru.
어디 디자니 드리리 니 라마 당화 그 당화테 만어와치 라메 가리송 나양 라멘 참찬나 구바 봉지 아니 라마다 어딘디시네 딱 송구요라 송도 자네 송뭐 당화테 구바 가리치드 송야 공지 가리치드 송야 간사 가왈 송도 가리치드 송도 이 딱딱 하고 그러지.
So we need to, be able to understand, why gurus give particular instructions to a disciple. It may be, dependent upon the particular needs of that disciple or a particular situation. So we want to understand the context for various instructions by the guru.
아니 지바데기 시랍다 대반 nendenje lama tugonlen bashi 그지. 아니 로미주레 시랍이요 봐. 아니 taganaji lamala 대바요 봐. 디톱데게 lama 톡 공방 오마데 가래래야. 만한 거 잡을라마 그 톡 공방시 혹 공방 오마데 가래래야. 땡 사비토니 하고 와. 고리 숨바리.
It is necessary to enact the intentions of the Holy Guru with knowledge, faith, and diligence. So having faith in the Holy Guru, having intelligence and wisdom, be able to understand them, and to practice with enthusiasm. So this means sharp wisdom to be able to understand what is the real intention, ultimate intention behind these instructions that the Guru is giving me.
아니 라바데게 딤바데 시진 바유데 딤베 고슴지 니준지 마유 바시 그스 다데나 딤바 시진 바유 숨데 냠데 디네 근데 도와 드네 가장 출랑라 이메지 땅요아
Lotus.
에 줄차이베
Lotus is divine.
에 줄차요나 아니 데지라 네 담보 이메르데 보행나네요 대양 보바 탐절이 찍라 야와이나 이스고와 가와란도 데 이메르 가장네. Oh no.
Now the next one says, it is necessary that through one's possession of mindfulness, attentiveness, and carefulness, one's three gates be unobscured by defects. So this threefold practices of mindfulness, attentiveness, sometimes translated as alertness or introspection. I'll be using the term inner alertness. And then carefulness is often translated as conscientiousness, which is what I will use in the translation that I did of something that Rinpoche wrote on this subject.
담보게 인치 보여도 말라게인다. 담보 딤발레 semzong ngapcho tsakche ke nasi yungi ngai nangke sumbati yinsi. Ngarin tong simba shi simba yor kanong la mikpa mala para chichilan simba nuchin semzong ke chala seri. Dimba laya chechu sumyu. Dambo dimba te yor teni geba so yingu. Niba dimba yor te toda mikgu. Sumba dimba mimtun so ne jine yinbe. Dimba manyamba siddhu shivjinji sunne sarasi shigu. Ne dimba shi. Niba shivjinde. Gong Timba and Yawan Jopa Caps, gave us him down, gave us him, Yana, Lumatin him, Gang that Namto Gang Chipa Namla, Namto Gang Chipa Na, Lamsing, Munjisi, Tunki, Pena, Jap Kusong Tawins. Timbe, Never, Timbe Mikpala Yawan Jon, Tingan Jinte, Japo Tawi, the Nila Songchop sinking, Shivin same day. Shivin said, Sarava Simsong Chatila. Gewa, Megewa, Yado, Zangin, Jiship, Shirok Chalako. Sumba Bayona. Bayona Namju Jula, Ganga Kapsu Yinjang, Rangarani, Shiba, Hakwarsine, gave us Holland, joking, Megeva Holland, Toppersibe, Simsong Lochila, said Yins. Bena, Natavelan Tuna, Tatene, Yigimada, Mangan. Pena ngatavelan chuna sita ngala pe yakaya ngatavelan chuna namju nga gilhong yi nga nangba yi nga yinda ta mandra vel nga la lu ta nga la domba tamsin de tan den da yu sambe yu san number lap trim na shine de la zamni si pata ba si pa yu se pa mi ne semsong ngap chu chakki pa na si nyenyu nishu nang Kibdun Pati Gang Tarchang Gom Tang gave a less of Kangan Jokchang meet the Marawate Gong Tinshi Payusum Yin Number Chu Namche say Yonzin gave a Shini Tang Nanga Yonzin Ni Song Yu Nanga Yonzin Tang Nanga Yonzin Ta Gegi Omate Tinshi Payu Nam Yin You know Gang Tar Timba the Shivyin Payusum Simsong cha yinba 직장 실내지 토네 제발요. 조sem당 simsong시 몇 배나 조셈 오마 배나 조셈 오마 찍래. 조셈도 오마 따블 배야. 얘네 simsong대 마당 쇼당 델레독배 추라당 다라라 속바 륜신 중화다오. 강달 추냐민 신신시 이나 진시 바유스나 하자같이 보리. 윤종래 생성돼 봐 남라네 딘바당네 십이다 소라 법적 성실지 나한테 다 탈모죠 나도 가장 뒤 강조네 갈래점네 뒤 딘바데 십신 바유스인데 참산라 막 하마와 왔던데 용어도 와 순가데 생성 그 차지리 생성 앞쪽 짝지 그 나시니 군도 와다 년년이 셔라서 봐 군도 와 그나니 근데지 요리 또 이내 yang sile ke thone leka letang la pena dimba ta shibjin da payu sum la mandawa khorang sum na leka mandawa re ndo wa odri
Yes. So Rinpoche says, I put some effort into composing some explanation of mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness, which sometimes people don't understand. So what I wrote was this. 1, mindfulness. Out of the 51 mental factors, mindfulness is the third of the 5 object ascertaining mental factors. It is that mental factor which, focusing on any object that has been previously seen or known, has the ability to hold it single-pointedly without forgetting it. Mindfulness has 3 special characteristics. 1, the object focused upon must be positive or virtuous. 2, mindfulness must observe the object. And 3, the opposite of mindfulness is forgetfulness, so inner alertness must check from the side to ensure that mindfulness does not deteriorate. 2, inner alertness. As you are practicing mindfulness, inner alertness is the mental factor which immediately notices whatever thoughts, whether virtuous, non-virtuous, or neutral, are developing. Like the bodyguard of a king, alertness is the mental factor which protects. The mental factor of alertness, like a lookout or spy, must have the wisdom to differentiate between virtue and non-virtue, good and bad. 3, conscientiousness. Conscientiousness is a mental factor which, in whatever conduct is aware of or knows itself, and causes engagement with virtue and away from non-virtue. In my case, for instance, I always think about how I am a Buddhist, a bhikshu, that I have vows and commitments of body, speech, and mind, which are different from others. And with this knowledge of Buddhist training and ethics, I try to be earnest and careful about practicing accordingly. Among the 51 mental factors, non-conscientiousness is the 17th of 20 secondary defilements. In any case, whatever meditation or positive action you engage in, mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness are indispensable. In Buddhism, there are two tutors spoken of, outer and inner. The outer tutor is the Kalyana Mitra, the virtuous spiritual friend, the guru. The inner tutor, which is our real teacher, is mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness. Although mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness are equally mental factors, they are different in terms of their functions. Main minds have mental factors within them. Comparing a main mind to milk, the butter, yogurt, cheese, and whey which successively arise from it are like mental factors arising within a single main mind. Thus, mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness are extremely important for anyone who is a Dharma practitioner. As said in the Guide to the Bodhisattva Conduct, all you who wish to protect your mind, I beg you with folded palms, always strive to guard mindfulness and alertness, even at the cost of your life. And so mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness are all mental factors that would be part of a main mind, and yet they would each have their own particular function within that main mind.
Thank you so much, Sambala. You did a very good job.
Oh, it's an honor.
Wow, such a good translator. Yeah. Laso any da yugatela trupatela kocha tan hintop ji yedan tinji tsutba chi gus. Kocha se de ke namja jun de zuba. Ta chitang toni zuba la ko gore kocha mangi chi chi de zuba. Pasin tok nani zuba de kocha ri. Any hintop se de power de simba trup chasang la ko na de yuri. Kocha tan hintop ji yi tam se de sem se ke yura yi timbo se ne. Any churangla make me here down Nayandra, Tura down Nayandra, Karachi Seva inayang, any Akarisikuri, Zuba, Yuaina, any te Kochala Chadi Yuris.
It is necessary that one be stable and independent in one's practice through possessing courage and the armor of diligence. So sometimes patience is also spoken of as armor. So this, and then courage and diligence we can think of in terms of perseverance. So these both part of the 6 perfections. And so, whether someone praises us or abuses or criticizes us, we want to keep that armor of patience, which protects us from reacting, and the courage, enthusiasm of that perfection as well.
How do you in the Dumba de la Chami, she meet you in Nata Melamahoa goose? And then any Pache Topan Tumbo, the Yalhepne, Yamling Tony, Obaos and Tumbo lips at the Gypsy Milarepa and Chickatoni. Any chick Tawala Sigora, Sosu Tawala in and a Karena del Chick Chabatan, Shimbatan, Zimbatan, Lasopa Mibetoni, any Juba Tony in Baina, any Maranga Juba Karisina into the Yuris, or the Cap de Duina, Pena, Dobak Juba Seata, Chela Pabak Juba Seat, and the Zopachim becomes at the Shia you are.
Well, Yankee Sonam, correct?
Jubala. I want Tumbo Chick Leptawaina, Chami, Shimi, Juba Sondoa, Chami, Shimi, Juba Seate, Chami, Shimi, Juba, Lungal, Legoina, Chami, Shimi, Tawaki, Tola Leptogo. How goes away?
Lolos.
Jitu Milarepa le pe yawa, Chami, Shimi, Tawa, Zimba Suna Tawa me. So the Tani Sajabake, Zimba the Chapala Sobale, Torchwaina. Any rangi Chami Shimi Jubate, Levoka Yuri. Or the day in the Chanity, Chami Shimi Jubate, any Dopa Cubasi, Penny Gypsy Milarepa Diana, Mambo Chica, Pango Nanji. Any pair, Cuba Kanjo Manjos, any Jasichin Bushawa Layang, Nalindani, any Dushisumbasi, Kalasa, any main tongue at the Netongo, Kalasa, Niko, Rawan, Dushisumbasi, Kalasa, Niko, any Topaton, that is some Mato Kukay Shigamari, Sianachi. But Cuba, Koran to Cuba, Tawa the Hatan Tombochilla left at it. Cuba de Tawa good to you, Mari, Tawa Karisin and the Yorwa. Hakosway.
Loans.
Hade Paje Chamishi Michi Cuba Seate, Tawan Tumbochilla Gogo Sari.
So now in this next one, it is necessary that by being without attachment and craving, one avoid giving one's nose rope to others. This is referring, would seem, to quite a high level of realization. It's actually talking about acting without attachment and craving, or grasping. As it said, if there's grasping, there's no view. So for someone to be acting in the world really without any attachment or clinging to anything, it really, truly at a high level of practice, then their conduct may look strange to the world, you know, because they don't have the same kinds of attachments. For instance, Milarepa, you know, lived as a beggar and, you know, and naked and did all kinds of crazy things. Or Shantideva also, you know, someone very high level, highly realized. And so without any attachment or aversion, attachment and clinging, he exhibited a very seemingly simple existence where he didn't do anything but eat, sleep, and go to the bathroom. And people kind of looked at him and said, so, but he didn't have attachment to what they thought of him. So this is quite a high level of realization when one can act in the world without any kind of attachment or grasping of things or what people think of oneself and so on.
Nata Melamashowa said, Nata Sena Juba Rawang the Melatini Gamaris. Churatawan Tumbochi left on a Juba Karisine Chichogaris Achita.
So in this not giving one's nose rope to others.
Nose rope to others.
We could talk, we would tend to use the word your leash. You know, like if you had a leash attached to your nose, you know, to have somebody, you know, walking you around, you know, like a dog or something like that. So again, at that high level of realization, you know, you're your own master. You aren't just led by others.
Ya lama kashi chikla tawan tumbo ina ya juba te pe tendisine juba meltune pena nga tsawa lama jabji sanji tinjin rumbo chinda ina tawa te la chami shimi ka tawa tina hleb yuri te juba te ngarang tsu nanshi taro ngarang tsu nyom chungsa ne kaya shiki mara ne kaya yungu mara sine juba te pe tendinang deni ji yuri isi lama la dhamma modowa.
And in some cases, this may manifest as it did for my root guru, Sanjay Tenzin Rinpoche, who had realizations which are like the sky, just very high realizations, and yet in his actions, you know, acted like an ordinary person. In fact, acted even less than an ordinary person. He would always saying, "Oh, I know nothing," and acting, you know, so humble.
Then Guru Rinpoche 같은 데 소이라 따와 남칼렌 토장 주바 박셀레십 박셀레십스나 잠바나지 시거리시 따와 남칼렌 토장 주바 박셀레십.
And as Guru Padmasambhava said, ideally have a view which is higher than the sky, but in your conduct, observe it as finely ground powder.
Lasso. 다든디시 any 종이 지심 지심베 다더 촌이 속발을 준바시 그스 용의 지심 등에 답바르실라 시에데기 요와 심지 담바 의미미 담바 용화 담바세야데 Peke Chimboris. They did an give your country in a young Jisum la scene. Young Jisum Nika scenes had any Tony Sabala. De la Dogoris, Roan Dogoris, young Jisum Simbaina, Tony Sopak Julan Dogori. Tony de Saki Sunam go Totang, Sami Ishi Saki Sunam go Totela, Tabji Cha, any Lugoni 산차와당 아그고니 칸드지야당 애니 릉아그 쭈람라 소바당 사키소나 근 추반베와라 소바도 주고데 사키소나고 초세 미미 이시 그 초데 애니 또니 그 따와다 산주 그 세는 뭐지 니데 어떤데지 때 참고리 송바리.
It is necessary to be diligent in the continual gathering of the two accumulations by complementing one's practice with preparation, execution, and conclusion. So these three factors of preparation, execution, and conclusion are those three factors that I always talk about as being very important for any practice. The setting one's motivation, and then being undistracted, and understanding the nature of the main practice and the execution of it, and then at the conclusion, making a dedication. These three being very important. And when you do complement any practice with those three, then it becomes a cause for the gathering of the accumulations, the two accumulations for enlightenment. The contaminated accumulation of skillful means and wisdom, and the unobservable accumulation of wisdom. So the first, the accumulation of merit, has to do with making physical prostrations, reciting mantras, various kinds of physical and verbal conduct and actions. And then the practice one does with wisdom, then gathers the accumulation of wisdom, that unobserved accumulation of wisdom. And these two accumulations then become the causes for enlightenment.
Lasso, and the Gubadege, Samba the Ninji, some Judas Simjin Tula, Losopa goose, Navia Jud the same Tony, Samba the Ninji, De La Tony Katawaka Jet Bache, Silgiam needed Teshe. Only knew some Judas Yateke, Lugigoni security, Lugigoni na Jimbatawa, Sutran Soya, Simchina Zubagoya, La Sobaka, and Teta Tendawa. Angatu or simching tola mus koran kayo layoke and news sums any june musamazoa in a juju gone any simchina simching ton kona la lokasoba or the lokasosina simching ton kona druba and the chishigori somebody.
It is necessary that one turns one's mind to benefiting beings both directly and indirectly with loving kindness and compassion. So in one's mental attitude, to always be cultivating more love and compassion and wisdom, insight. And then when it's benefiting beings indirectly would be, say, making prostrations or Gyune Pamba de Rinpoche Gari, Chaksewa da.
Marmar, was a jujigoni, the paradisima took Nani, Jimbatang, Sutramtang, any Zubatang, any simjing between the two laws of a tabjicha, or the Nichikote.
The Nusu Pamba Rebe.
We some say I take the che, Junishi Twainayang, any Molantaya Lasopa Yorova, Jujigoni, Molantaya, Yamela Jukursia Lasopa, the day Yongorova.
So, speaking about both directly and indirectly, when you can benefit beings directly through such as the perfections of generosity, morality, patience, and perseverance, do so. And in the cases that you can't do anything directly to benefit them, then to do things indirectly by making prayers and so on, to be able to benefit them. So in any case, both directly and indirectly, we want to always be absorbed in being benefiting beings.
Any Jubadeke Shirap Tang Koto Ji Chu Tamji Udang Simar Mahowashi Goose. Atela Shirap Seati the Koto Seati Ni Dinani Nindachili Yadwa, the Koto Seati Shirap can Revager Dachili Yan and the Guri. Shirap Gelatine and the Koto de Hako Siba. Then the Tani, this Shirap the Mewaina. And around to Mupin Simal condories. Mupin Simasina, Naransuina, make you the zok, never you the dra, na you the Sodok, you're the Yurchi Yura. You're the Naransun Simal and Zingayuri. Simal and Jason the Dimbal and Zingayuri. Ransi the Tripal and Zingayuri. Pena deep Hobade, Chanjusana, call a woman in deep Hoba Mabot and Dua Sambachiki. Nake in and the woman in Sambachile Mato. The kitchen is the Gas in the Pobak Ze Mambochi Dulzuya Jitani, Kitchen Chingas the Aya, the Upinelo Umate Hako you Maringachi. The Ninditani, Chimarasiate, Mutan Chimasiate, Nelo Cotur Umatela Maone, Rob such as Zunina one, Zunin that you Hako Yurita. Oh, the Dembari, somebody Chilamato, Tumala, Demi, Dembe Madapa. Hakoyu Marin, Sime Trupsiatang, Nupotan Simar Trupsiate, Dimbe Trup de Achilangachung, Jinsecurity. Oteri.
It is necessary that through knowledge, understanding, and realization, one not mistake all things to be substantial and inherently endowed with characteristics. Now, in Tibetan, we have the words Sherap Gotok. So it sounds like two different things. You could say here intelligence, Sherap, or wisdom, and then Gotok, meaning realization. So we could think of these two as intelligence or wisdom leading into realizations. And with this kind of realization, then we must not mistake things to be substantial and inherently endowed with characteristics. So the word in Tibetan is Ngödan Semar Mashor. So to believe that things are real or true, or that Sema means signs. So what it means is that we grasp onto things as being real, as being true, as having inherent existence. You know, the things that we see, hear, smell, touch, taste. We believe these things are real. We believe they're true. So we grasp at signs of their true or inherent existence. We take this cup that I was holding up for example. You know, we look at this cup, we think, oh yeah, it's a cup that was here yesterday and it's here now, and we believe it's real. We feel it has some kind of independent existence. We don't look at its true nature, how it's independent, how it's dependent upon the atoms and the molecules that make it up, and how it's dependent upon time. It only exists for a moment and is always disintegrating into the past and arising into the future. Into the present moment of the future. We don't see its true nature. We have a very rough kind of experience of the world. We see things, we believe it's all, you know, real around us. So with this kind of intelligence and realization, we need to not lose ourselves in this misunderstanding of the world, but always try to understand how it lacks this kind of reality and true or inherent existence.
Thank you, Samba. Good job. Okay, I think today I'm going to stop here. If you have any questions, answers, from the last teaching, and also today the teaching, that you know, that was a kamakashila to our Tilinchinan degree, and it was me 9 to get. Inchimini Trawa Mani Tabde Mina Kotra, took Janet, Inchimini Tango, you my Kotra, you know, Tambone Koran, charge the Dimpetraji town, Yabodo, Lasso.
Okay, so we could take a few minutes for questions now. If anyone has any, if you don't have any, that's all right. Also, don't feel forced to come up with questions. You know, if you haven't already prepared or thought about questions, you know, then there's no need to kind of make up a question on the spot. So it's good if you have a question that you've thought about and plan to ask is best. But so does anyone have any questions? If you do, just unmute yourself and speak up.
Sure. It just came to me today, but it's something I've always wondered about and heard before about. You spoke about mindfulness, and I didn't quite write it down correctly, but something about awareness of virtue, or that mindfulness has something to do with virtue, where I think the common understanding of the mindfulness movement in the modern world is that it's just bare mindfulness, that there's no virtue or harm or, you know, any characteristics of it. It's just being aware. But it sounds like you're saying that mindfulness is more than that.
Ani Rinpoche, Kiranga Jampa Chechu Sung Nangne, Migyo de Gewag Migyo Chik Gogara. Yiniam, Ding Sang Mi Mambo Jampa Korla Mambo Shegi Orwa. And he comes to Sampala, then de Mare, Gare Junayan, the gas Haya Sodavo, the Mitaya, some Hayara. Jason did Jampa dan Journey Gawa you Gogres, Yaman Comanyosa.
Oh, that is Garangri. Penagachu something gomne Nanchu Jisha Tone, Temba Songaina, Inchi Mini, you're the Gavamic Pachil and Rogori. Penate, Masawa in the Temba Seate, Pen and Duchak Solar Temba and Rogori, Pen the Churange, Peta Pomola Sopa Gao in a Tapara Hill, Petit India in a Timbarwa. Take a current lemgari city and take attachment city and Duchak number chuganani, Numo, Toxum Sen, Tolope Yayurta. Do shoot a court in Batica Lemgodoa. Indian and the Timber, the Chichu Yagua, the Chichu Sum, the Yagua, and the Chichu Nibate, you're the Gavin McPatchila, Yoina, Timber top take a tine, Gavin McPatty compelling rock you. Get out train Chura Jojo, that Nala image town, which in a control Tanya in that consulate in a Pingerwa.
Lotus. So Rinpoche asked me to send you this translation that I did of his composition on this subject of mindfulness, inner alertness, and conscientiousness. So a difference here in the understanding of mindfulness and sort of a contemporary way that the word is used is that here mindfulness refers to remembering an object and keeping your mind on an object, not just looking at whatever arises. The object of the mindfulness is actually focusing on and holding one object, okay? So now, if that object was non-virtuous, for instance, if say it was involved with attachment, and say somebody is, you know, is always thinking about their boyfriend or their girlfriend with attachment, the partner with attachment. Well, the word in Tibetan, Jampa, which is translated as mindfulness, also just means remembering or thinking about something. It can be used in different ways. It can, if it even means to miss someone, it's used in that context. I miss you, remember you. But so in that case, if a person is focusing on an object that just arouses their craving or their attachment, And that's one of the delusions. That's a deluded state of mind, which in teachings of Buddha would be something that you want to diminish and eliminate. So that's why with this sense of mindfulness, where it is actually meant to be holding one object without distraction, is also the quality that Rinpoche mentioned. It has this power to remember something single-pointedly without forgetting it. So it's focused on one single object, and that one single object that it's focusing on needs to be something that's positive. Otherwise, if it's something on the negative side or inappropriate side, it will simply give rise to more delusion and things that from Buddhist practice point of view would not be useful or desirable.
Very good question.
Something
Yeah,
like that.
very good question. Yeah.
Rinpoche nga tanda kongi tiwa kwe dila diba dila muthi ni kantichik shuchu bachi Rinpoche.
Yeah.
Tanda Rinpoche sungpa na shin tanda tempa da shishin laya di tempa di shishin ki simpe kor laya di manzu nangbe ki chuga na ne chuzik chik imba sungadu chige ki mindfulness laya di kunzu ki chikzu na la nyama nangba ki nga la dimashi be nga la yu na kante na kaisina kunzu ki tempa mindfulness lani sheyundi shishin da demba ji yoba chigi shigimindo bena chashana ala nyecha MG ki pain management tanga keba na du su yu du gala pain management la geji sheur la du kurangi di lobdu nange di karisungudu la na kira mindfulness shini gom gyana ani pengire lagdu ani mindfulness gom gyada kandirsila ni geji tidi nyamdo la shishin da demba ji yoba chi geji chik shigimindo la rumbuche wadi rumbuche ki kari di thola ka kandis chi gongyo na di chik songo na shuengi kadinche
Tata churang pache demba rating do. Ngay samna tata mindfulness siya te korang zu nga chu sum dechin sum sigi yorwa. Korang chik ngosar tibu kone demba, shibyin, bayu sina korang simsong ngapcho chakchi nana korang re la leka re mandawa re yode chare yorda. Tani indi chane korang zu chiyong ko thone demba siya te ta di soga chik so don't jam the chane any mindfulness siya ta karese ko na tindi chile ma to demba tela shibyin ka sarasi go siya chik ta pe na theri da gom jati gom chakta pe sem ta semsong ko rotang to yakpo ti shiwa ina gom yakpo chagari siya jumchi tel chadere pe na lorek ta tarik te so yakpo jawa ina lapar da lorek te so yakpo jana loi lo kin rotang te so Desu yakpo di shiwa ina gom te yakpo yongkari siya jumchi tel chadere Tindi indi ngay mambo shio magwa chiti chane gom jangkin kanza chikla sunni me chikendu te dewa na yi ta te samang koshi kore ta pena ngarang ngay gom jaki yora me chik sunni ndu si gom te yakpo yongkan duga mendok te dewa na yi chik go yore si kanza nipa ta sunpa chik tina na go yore isi ka yore ta samlong la te kain si na timba tela japti inti shivyin ko hondo wa shivyin tela yang sen ko thoni payo se ne shivyin se adi shirap ko chala yang ro ko yuri o te dik mendo wa te yakpo mari ya te ngala pin thok mendo wa asamba chi pe na kusong ma ma chi na jabo chi la kusong ma ma te la lobjo yakpo che yale ma chi na o mat dokya insari da ko jabu nang tang na ku jabo la no chi sari samba o meto yakbo insari ko nangla tangna niksari sambachi ki shi siyate ki shirab ka chala shigara shi yin siyate la sendela tisi nipa yuri shirab ka chachi yu dewa chi ani paa yu siyate namsha yunde o ta nga teta bachi yin ngay te shi nyinga maray sambachi ki yang timbe so la rokpa si nyinga yang semzong ka chachi te sum gondo ta samba mangda so
I'll try to do it as well as I can. So Pema Tomo was asking about use of the word mindfulness in various contexts, like if a doctor is talking about it could be helpful for managing your pain to practice mindfulness. And yet they don't have these ideas of inner alertness and conscientiousness to complement it. But in my understanding of teachings that mindfulness has to be sustained by inner alertness. Otherwise, it won't be. It can't work. And so Rinpoche said, yes, that's right. And so if you can do study of mind and mental factors, in which you look at all the different ways that the mental factors function in the mind, what mindfulness can do when it it holds on, remembers an object and stays focused on it, and what inner alertness does by acting to protect that. For instance, like in that example of the bodyguard of a king. That bodyguard needs to have a certain amount of intelligence, to be able to tell, well, this is a good person. I'm going to allow them to go have an audience with the king. Oh, this person over here is suspicious, or I don't know about them. I'm not going to let them, have an audience with the king. So in that way, the alertness, inner alertness, monitors the mindfulness, and as such, it's quite a refined element of wisdom. It's getting to a higher level of wisdom. And then conscientiousness, to remain mindful of how one acts. Yes, there's a difference there. Yang sumba di na gyacha ngapchu tampa jishina tugaro.
Kawa jacha gupchu ko gut jur songte ta chikla ya cha se ani tenderi ya ta gomi apoji ja shi go ina lo tang sem song tang lorek ta tarik se ate pekhe chi bo labar da lorek se ate ata sem song apchu chakche ka lo to sun ro tang to so shiwa ina gomla pe pin to chimbo yo dewa
ana gari gyachampore
gomi apoji ja shi go ina lorek ta tarik lorek se ate sem song ko lo to so te kareri do te shia de ke chimbo re yas.
So for very high quality practice of meditation, it's so beneficial to have the knowledge of the subjects of mind and mental factors, also the subject of logical signs and reasonings, to understand logic, but especially detailed knowledge of mind and mental factors.
Any chick churang ke je tempa je ade Dere, pena gom jali kaps kanza chik gom jade kanza sumbanda chik ko te shigor te inchi mini samon ko shigor.
So it's kind of like in our meditation, we need to have more than one person helping us. Say somebody's walking toward us, and we would look at them. And we would think of them. Okay, so it's like, there's one, if we were going to give kind of this example, there's one person who's remembering the object, and then there needs to be another person who's saying, hey, wait a second, you're forgetting it, to remind them, to it. And then another person who then says, oh, look how you're acting here, So these three factors of mindfulness, alertness, and conscientiousness, they're almost like different people we need to be helping us. So they're assisting us in our mindfulness practice.
Lasso. Good job, Samba.
Oh, Got
Gola magic killa tachi kungi trying to live sona.
it?
Tony has a question in the chat.
Tony.
Yeah, Tony, do you want to unmute and ask?
No, you can read it. Samba, what he said, Rinpoche La.
So Rinpoche La, in the English instructions, the teaching says it is necessary that by being without attachment and craving, one avoid giving one's nose rope to others. What is one's nose rope, and what does it mean to give it to others? Thank you, Pujiche.
Nete takin to shit ayan, not up melama short seate, not up melama short seate, chami shimi, kichupat, gypsum Milarepa and Tambo Tower, the chami shimi, Tawachi Leona, chami shimi, kichupat goris, Kaichikumari, chupate, any chupate, let chupat and the sin and Rikona, let chupat and the sin and Rikimina Samba, and the topa sine, should have one chat in me like what Denigamari said. Natasina. Wilesina, ya la, and this is ya until it comes and it's not a tapajan, and this is tricky. Chet until it comes to kill tapaja tricky.
No, that's false.
Turanga one chat, any millet lapalajani marisi and the chirita.
So this nose rope, or what we could call like a leash, this is referring to that instance where the person has reached quite a high level of realization. They're free of attachment and craving, and so they have quite a lot of confidence in their practice at that point. They're not like thinking, oh gosh, I wonder if this is right, or I wonder if I'm doing this right, and then kind of letting someone else tell them, you know, whether they are doing it right or not. They don't need that. They know that they're doing it, and they don't need to rely on somebody else for that. You know, in Tibet, you know, that nose rope would might be put through the nose of a yak. You know, like their leash would be attached to their nose, and so they could be led around, you know, very easily by that rope. You know, similar to what, you know, the harness and the leash on a dog. But there, you know, it's attached to the nose, so that's why it's referred to as the nose rope or the nose leash.
That's all. Bebake the Chusekanana, Korang, Lama Korang Kare, Captain the Sona, T, Juchitane Matane, Ma Team Jusin and the Yet Ma Pub the Janin, Sansan la Peke Tawat and the Labar the Kadambake, Lama the Sok, Sung to Sola. Peke Taw, Chiko Matawat and the Mambochi. What in the you the Uris?
So sometimes when the sayings or comments of high masters are written down, you know, very literally, you know, they'll just be written down exactly as they were. And sometimes in our modern day, when you look at it, it comes out as something kind of strange. There's a lot that's like that among the sayings of the Kadampa masters. You see this thing they said, and you wonder, what did they mean by that? Or it's hard to understand.
Yeah. All the soul. To underwear, to Aminani.
If there's
Mola
any more questions, if not, then we'll go on with our concluding prayer.
La so, that may say. Yeah. Any Payment Somokati Molam Chinto, what they mass on that.
Ande Tsawe Lama Rinpoche Tagi Chiwara Peme Tinshula Kati Chimbe Gone Jesone Kuson Tuki Ngoju Tsetu So Omsote Ramjan Kyamne Gyatsu Chinla Tan Denye Tende Lua Mepet Kebara Chime Tseye Lazo Ki Tsewa Yishen Chinchen Tendirepo Kegu Chinle Karke Kama Pe Kasu Donga Chazo Mewaj Ome Suwe Lamda Nyamdo Ki Yunde Tseka Getere Shabdes Kanki Sansum Doje Rankam Su Lewara Tinje Longdo Tambej Shiju Tusam Gombe Dude Yesade Gembe Chinle Tachin Pande Lame Nambara Tabala Kichi Samya Lota Mikish Chinze Lewara Tongwe Mugu Ki Lame Chinla Simla Juba Shu Kewa Kundo Yanda Lama Tan Jeme Chuki Peta Longju Sata Lamke Yunde Razo Ne Pade Lame Kohan Yoto Shu
That's all. Inji Tony Masu and the way.
Not to Maumba the Pemotsomo Gar somebody to the Injike Jena.
Pema Tomok and go to the Chisungo, I joked in the Chisungo, I take Churanga email down and it's your Majorjana.
No.
Do you have English, Rachel? Okay.
Is it your long life prayer? Is that your long
That
life?
was
Yes,
part of it.
yes.
That was part of it, Rachel. Yes.
Oh, yes, I do have that ready to go. Thank you so much for letting us pray that today. Yeah,
Okay.
so appreciate it. Yeah, let's see.
Oh, you don't have to pray every Saturday. But yeah, anyway.
May the blessings, Om Swasti, may the blessings of infinite seas of our places of refuge, the force of the two truths' infallible interdependence, and especially the hosts of deities of immortal well-being, now rain down the magnificent splendor of their wisdom and power of longevity. The Lord of the dance of all victors, enlightened activity is Karmapa, your unquenchable thirst for the inner essence of his traditions, doctrines, of discourses, tantras, great seal, great perfection, and pith instructions, has brought the qualities of signs on the spiritual path, your experience and realization, to their full flowering. May your life be firm. May the wisdom mysteries of your body, speech, and mind be as perfectly firm as a Vajra's own immutable elements. May your gatherings of disciples who study and practice the sacred teachings of scripture and realization by listening, contemplation, and meditation cover the earth. May your activity reach its ultimate consummation.
Da jin sim jin dam je lo ju sun do wa sin je lam de so ro ju lam de lo ha sin je lam de so ro lan chun ba se wa sin je lam de so chun ba yi ji sun cha wa sin je lam de so da so nam je ju dan tun ba ye je dar san ba ye yin de ba da ne do ge so ba de ju be zo ni wa xie wa sin je lam de so tin be ba je la ma xia be tin jin ji be so de yong lan tin be jim dang wa tong jo wa je tin ba yo re ne be zha xi xiao.
May the minds of myself and all sentient beings turn towards Dharma. May that Dharma become the path. May the path be free of deception. May deception arise as innate wisdom.
Tuji che Jampa Tharchin la
Tujiche Rinpoche,
Tereng pe churang pe tereng churang chi de coffee tong sa ma da ta na coffee tong yu
Ja, Tungani,
yu ja tong yu be.
Pujame, Deras, Oma Ja.
Okay, thank you so much everyone, very very happy to see you. And Tuji che Chama Karten che any jopo yang chutun jima nanin ji yong any chutun jima de pache nga tsu Gampopa ke ladrup ji Gampopa ke dem chu rin do next Saturday is the Gampopa ke dem chu cha de yore pe ya bo wa de chu den de ji le ki ya dem de
Gomba
Gomba zo li ki ni mo
Yes. Next Saturday is actually the anniversary of the passing away of Gampopa Sonam Rinchen, so it's actually quite auspicious that we're having our session on that day.
maybe I going to practice the Gampopa's short Guru yoga. I don't know. I don't have the text yet, but I take the look. Just let you know. Tuji che Jampa Karten che ni ta zumja nam zumja nang ani shopa dele shugi.
Thank you all so much, and best wishes to you, whether it's your morning or evening, good afternoon, and good morning.
Ani sabata si churang tele kaje de kore.
Thank you, Jampa.
Nandang Chashila Sepa Nisabnil Suyongyi.
Churang moda de tang de kachanga big sul song da gong chi nam zma le ma so.
Rola Sin Kyanla Lacha Dego
Ah, da churang
Mocha
churang ma
Shashi.
le de moda de chama chando sa de.
Dando Yoruba, my mota Dando Yoruba, and Yam Kuma gets out of it. Touching.
Katadiri
Rinpoche, Tujiche, Jampa, thank you so much.
Tujiche Tama. Thank you. Lasso.
Katin lame tu che Rinpoche, katin che som, chilab che, katin che.
Tuchi Nang Tama. Kadinchi.
Rinpoche, Tuche na, Teshitele.
Lasso. Tuchi Nang. Tujiche.
Rinpoche, Tujiche, Chilapche so, Katinche,
Lasso.
Lasso,
Tujiche Tama.
Tinche la.
Tujiche Rinpoche chilab che so ani kusula tuja tujiche so.
Lasso. Tujiche. Nichi Namba Tama.
Ches Rinpoche tujiche na.
Tujiche. Tujiche.
Kadilami tuji Rinpoche kusiri.
Lasso. Tujiche. Lasso. Ni tujiche. Ni Yumanji Yong Tama.
I can put the recordings from each session now on the website. So as soon as the recording is ready, I'll put it up. Also, with your permission, Rinpoche, I'd like to put up the special teaching that you gave us defining the mental factors of mindfulness, attentiveness, and carefulness on the website as well.
Okay, there was a new composition there, Rachel. I'll send it to Rinpoche.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful.
And he's already signed off at the moment.
Oh, okay, good. I want one more request. The beautiful opening prayers, the preliminary recitations before the teachings. I have a paper copy in English. I can retype it, but with your permission, may I also put that on the website?
Yeah, I think ask Rinpoche, but I think that sounds like.
Oh, did he leave already? Oh, oh no. I'm asking Rinpoche. Oh, I will ask Rinpoche.
Yeah,
I meant to ask Rinpoche. Yeah.
Good idea.
Yeah. And the closing prayer.
But I can send it. I'll send it to you also if you need a new.
Oh, great! If you have an electronic copy, yeah, that would be wonderful. And I don't have the closing prayers in English. That would be wonderful for us.
Well, none of us do yet. So Rinpoche is going to prepare that together. Put it all together, I think, and then we'll get a new version of that all together.
Ah, great! Thank you so much. That'll help us to have a complete English translation of all of the beautiful prayers. That's so poetic and so inspiring and moving. So I really appreciate knowing the meaning of those prayers. Thank you.
Yes, I think that beginning one especially so.
I know the beginning one is so beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for doing that. I'm assuming, Jampa, you did the translation on that. It's just beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rachel and Chambala, as always. Thank you. Yeah, if you have the closing ceremony whole set that which I just prayed would be so nice if you have it in English. That is the not just the Rinpoche's prayer itself, but there's one in the beginning and two after that. That is the whole set which goes along when we say a prayer to Lama after finishing the.
I don't have that.
Yes, so like Rinpoche said, I think he will give it to Chambala. That would be wonderful. Thank you. And also, Rachel, you just mentioned you will post the Rinpoche's teachings on the website. That would be so great. And I received the one yesterday, but I will give those through our WhatsApp group to our Sanghas in Portland. So I will pass that on in the group, WhatsApp group to them. So that way everybody will have that also.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, with this Zoom, this Zoom that is now belongs to the Dharma Center, it is so easy to share the recording. So I'm very, very grateful to the board for purchasing this this Zoom. And and each week at the very bottom of the website for this event, I'll have session 1, session 2, session 3. Yeah. So.
Yeah, that would be great if you have a number from 1 to, so that way everybody knows which one first and then second and third. That would be wonderful. Thank you so much. And I can pass it on to their Google Drive too.
So I'll email you.
Once I have the email from the Sanghas, then I will, send it to them as well. So thank you so much for all you do.
Yeah, thank you, all of you, for your practice, the precious practice of Dharma, all of us together.
Yes.
It's just so powerful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Rinjola, for the posting those things. Just like Pema Samala says, so that would be wonderful to have it practice again and again. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Happy Saturday.
Happy Saturday.